Hi everyone, this is the Nordic Venture Show, your guide to the exciting world of Nordic startups and venture capital. In today's episode, we're exploring a startup called DataButton.
Okay.
You know that app idea you've got, like, swirling around in your head?
Mm-hmm.
The one you just need the right tools to, like, actually build?
Yeah.
Well, buckle up, because today we are diving into DataButton.
Ooh, DataButton.
DataButton, which claims it can help.
Pretty much anyone build an app using AI.
Using AI to build an app. So we're going to break that down today, right?
Yeah.
What does that actually mean? You know, for someone listening, we'll look at their claims, unpack how this whole AI-powered development thing actually works, and see if it lives up to all the hype.
We've got a ton of stuff to get through for this deep dive. Everything from their marketing materials and website all the way to user testimonials. We've got the real deal here. So we're going to unpack all of that, see what it means for, your app dreams if you want to build an app.
Yeah. And I think it's really important to be realistic about it, but also informed, right? There are a lot of these build an app with no code platforms out there.
Right.
DataButton seems to be doing something a little bit different though, right?
Yeah. And just from looking at their website, I mean, if you've seen this, they're really pushing this idea of the AI as your development partner.
Okay.
Not a replacement for understanding the process.
Yeah. It's not like it's just going to spit out a perfect app automatically or anything like that, right? So they are emphasizing this sort of collaborative approach where you're bringing your vision and then the AI is helping you bring it to life.
There's this really interesting example on their website. There's this marketing agency founder, and he completely transformed his business using DataButton. He went from offering traditional marketing services to creating an entire SaaS product.
Wow.
Completely pivoted using DataButton.
That's amazing. And I think that's a great example because, I mean, that's not a simple mobile app or something like that. That's a full-on, business model change, right?
And he's not alone. There are other testimonials. People in healthcare, gaming, all sorts of industries using this to build these functional apps, which, it makes you wonder what you could create with that kind of power.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're here to explore, right? So where should we start? I mean, they've got this app launch program, which sounds intense. It's like, boot camp, but for your app. They actually have a DataButton expert build the first version of your app with you.
Wow, so they're really holding your hand through this process.
Yeah.
That seems like a game changer if you're someone who, doesn't know how to code at all, but really wants to launch a real product.
Right, exactly. So it seems like they're trying to cater to that wide range, right?
Yes.
From the person who's just curious and wants to mess around all the way to, the serious entrepreneur who's like, I'm going to build the next big thing.
Exactly, yeah. And speaking of diving in, let's talk about pricing, because they're actually pretty upfront about it, which I always appreciate. They've got this credit-based system, and it seems, on the surface, pretty straightforward. One AI code generation equals 1 credit.
But how many generations does it take to build an app?
Right. That's the real question, right? Because, how much does it actually cost to make a real app? It can't be just 1 credit and boom, you've got a full-blown complex app, right?
It probably depends on a lot, right? How complex your app is, what features you're trying to build into it, and how much back and forth you need to do with the AI.
So it's choose your own adventure in terms of cost.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But they have different tiers, right, to kind of help with that. They have a starter tier, which sounds like a good option for testing it out, right? If you don't want to spend a ton of money up front just to kind of get a feel for the platform.
Right.
And then
if you're okay, I'm all in, there's the unlimited tier or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that one is
which has got to be spendy.
Pricey, but unlimited credits. And here's the kicker. Though dedicated app expert to guide you through the process.
Oh, wow.
So if you're serious, right, and you want to build a really complex, scalable application.
That makes sense.
That's probably the way to go.
Because then you've got basically a developer on call, which is something that you don't usually get with these kind of DIY.
DIY app builders.
Yeah.
Which again, I think that speaks to this idea
Yeah.
that DataButton is trying to be more than just like a platform, you know?
Yeah.
They're trying to build an ecosystem,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And it makes sense if they're like really trying to get people to
Right.
buy into this new way of developing apps.
Totally.
Like they got to give you the guidance.
And the resources and support, right?
Yeah.
Which again, you know, brings us back to these user testimonials.
Yeah.
You know, we had that physician, I think it was,
Right.
who was saying how DataButton helped him like get his app idea off the ground.
Yeah. For someone with, limited technical expertise to actually build something. I mean.
And this is a big deal, right? Like that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, it totally is.
Because it used to be that you had to learn how to code for years or, have a bunch of money to hire someone.
Right.
And now it's becoming
way more accessible.
Way more accessible. Exactly.
It's like they're just handing you the keys to the car and being like, go for it.
Totally. Yeah. And I think they're saying like, look, you're in the driver's seat creatively, but, we're going to give you this AI engine under the hood, right, to kind of give you the power.
And the support team is like the navigators.
Right. Exactly. It's like, they're riding shotgun and they're helping you get to where you want to go.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say I'm sold.
Okay.
I've got my idea.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do? Like, where do I go?
So you go to DataButton, and the first thing you do is you basically just describe your app idea in as much detail as possible.
To the AI.
To the AI, yeah.
Okay.
And it's really cool because it's designed to, take all of that information and translate it into kind of like a starting point for your development.
So instead of staring at a blank screen trying to write code, you're, just talking.
You're having a conversation, with this, super-powered developer brain.
Yeah.
And from there, it's all about iterating, right? So you're going back and forth. You're working with the AI.
Yeah.
You're refining your vision.
It's so interesting how they've combined that, that creative freedom that you have when you have an idea,
right,
with the technical power of AI.
Yeah.
They've kind of bridged a gap that's existed for so long.
And that's what's really cool, I think, about this whole space, right? It's we're literally watching the evolution of app development in real time.
It's wild.
It is. It is wild. And it's really exciting, right? Because it means that you don't have to be a coding genius anymore to build an app.
Right.
It's more about
just understanding these tools.
Yeah, understanding the tools, having the vision.
And the resources and kind of the hand-holding if you need it to actually make it happen. Which, speaking of support, they have that app launch program we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
That seems like kind of a big deal if you're
serious about it. It's like having a dedicated team in your corner, right? To kind of guide you through all of the technical, but also just the strategic aspect of actually launching a product.
I mean, that could be the difference between sinking or swimming, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Especially when you're first starting out.
Yeah.
It's one thing to build the thing, but then getting it out there,
getting people to use it,
marketing it, all that stuff, that's a whole different beast.
That's a lot. So it seems like DataButton is really trying to take you from I have an idea to I have a launched product that people are using.
That's right. And I think that's what's so interesting about them is that it really is.
Yeah.
It feels more holistic, right? Than just here's some tools, go build an app.
Right. It's we want you to succeed. It's not just here's an app builder.
Which I think is really powerful, especially if you've ever felt intimidated by this world or if you've tried other things and failed or.
This has been such a cool deep dive for me because honestly, I came in and I was picturing this really complicated process. And now I'm kind of wait a minute.
Right.
Maybe even I could build an app.
I know, right? It's
right.
That's what they're going for. They're democratizing it. They're saying anyone can do this. You don't have to be, some kind of a tech whiz.
Right. Which, I mean, who knows? Maybe the next, Facebook or whatever
exactly
is going to be built by someone who's never even, thought about coding before.
It's exciting, right? It's that barrier to entry is just
it's really cool.
Lowering, and it's giving people the power, right, to actually bring these ideas to life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot today. What would you say is the one thing you want our listener to walk away with?
I think the big takeaway here is that the future of app development is here.
Okay.
And it's looking pretty bright.
I like it.
It's way more accessible. It's more collaborative than ever before. So if you've got an app idea, don't let the thought of, all those lines of code hold you back.
Sure.
Jump in, explore, play around. You might just surprise yourself.
I love it. Great advice. Well, that's it for this deep dive into the world of AI-powered app development. Hopefully you learned something new today. We'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks for listening to the Nordic Venture Show. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more stories of innovation from the Nordics.